Hi everybody, this is the website boy from the websiteboy.com. On the last tutorial we made a couple pieces of code here, a couple lines of code with a date object, and we made this application. Well, not an application because it's actually a couple lines of code, but a little kind of semi program where you can get a future date. If I refresh, it's telling me there's 365 days left for this future date to be to fulfill this future date. So we are testing the current day against this future day here, and we got 365 days until we reach 2016. But anyways, what I want to do today is I want to put a button right here in the middle, and when I click it, I want to call a functions because we are doing functions today. And it's going to be really fun because functions, let me tell you first what functions are. Functions are pieces of blocks, right? Of blocks of code, right? That robotically do something again and again whenever you invoke its name. So whenever I call, let's say I enclose this in a big block of code and I put a name on it, and whenever I call that name of that specific block, this whole code is going to execute. Because think about it. If I grab all this code, if I want to make this code work somewhere else, I would have to copy this whole thing somewhere else so they can work. That's a waste of space. It's gonna look very messy and it's a waste of time. Instead, I can just define it once in a function and then use one name like function name, right? And use this name and call this whole code anywhere I put this name. That would be nice, right? It's really portable because you can put it anywhere. So let me show you right now how functions work and how we can actually, make the best use out of them. So the way functions work in JavaScript is very simple. You write the function name, and this is not a function name. This is something that we need to write first because we're gonna define a function here. So we're gonna declare this function, and we're gonna say the function, and now we have to write the name of the function. So I want to name my function CountDown, and this is something that I'm making up right now. And right after the name, just put the parentheses, and then open and curly bracket, open and close curly brackets. Grab one of those curly brackets and put it all the way around your block of code that you want to execute. So we have the function pre-built name, reserved name in JavaScript for functions, and then we put whatever name we want because we're defining our own functions, and then in between this open and close curly bracket, we put the code that we want to execute when we call this function, right? So if I save this and come back here, let's do a save as on this document first. Let's call this 30 future countdown functions. All right, so right now if I open this in a browser, it does not do anything. The reason why is because I enclose this in a function, and we have to, now it doesn't do anything unless we call the function. Right now this function is the owner of this code right here, so we need to talk to the function before we want to see anything like this. The way we call the function is by writing the name of the function again, using the parentheses and closing it with a semicolon. And then we save it, refresh, and now we have that code executing. We're calling the function. Now this looks very ugly like this, refreshing. Let's just put a button right here in the middle, and when we click on the button, let's execute something. Let's ask the user for an input, and let's use that input to execute this piece of code. All right, so it's very simple, right? And I'm gonna show you, if you never watched my Bootstrap tutorial, I'm gonna show you where we can get some good styles without writing a lot of CSS. I just don't want to write any button here. For example, let's just put a button first. What am I doing? This is not HTML. This is JavaScript in here. Right here is HTML. So I'm gonna put a button here, and I'm gonna say click here. Right? Refresh, and as you can see here, it doesn't have any styles at all. It looks very ugly. Right? Let's take this out because I don't want to every time I refresh. So right now I have not functionality here and no styles. I don't want to spend a lot of time on CSS styling this button here, so I'm gonna go and do something that I always do. Bootstrap CDN. I'm gonna link a bunch of styles. If you never watched my Bootstrap tutorials, watch it. go back to the playlist. I'm gonna link Bootstrap to it, and I'm gonna use some of the Bootstrap styles. It's easier for me to do that right here. Then we put the HTTP in there. Now let's make sure Bootstrap is, let's just refresh it. We see anything changing, Bootstrap is installed. You see that the button changed, that means Bootstrap is installed somewhere. We can always right click and check the source code and click on this link when we click on when we check the source code, and we can go directly to that file. So anyways, let's put some classes in that button. Class btn primary. These are Bootstrap classes, by the way. These are not classes that I'm making up. These are classes that are defined already inside this document. Let's refresh, and now we see that we have some styles. I want to put this in the center, so I need to convert this button into a table to do that. Let's just do some CSS here. I didn't want to really touch CSS, but I have to, kind of, because I have to center this out. btn. I could put something else instead of a button here and use Bootstrap to center it, but I'm just gonna use that. I could put a paragraph and do it that way, but whatever. Just it's easier for me to do this. Table, they put some margin on it, 0 auto, and then we can do some margin top 20%. That's gonna put it right in the middle. Refresh, boom. All right, so now we have that. Look, that's nice. When we click on it, it stays like that. All right, so now when I click on this button, I want this to do something, right? Let's make sure that our function works. Let's put an attribute called onClick, and let's just put the name of the function here to call it. This with its onClick, you can call this function anytime, any function you want. Refresh, click on it, and it's working. So our function is working. Perfect. Now what we need to do is get some input from the user, and then that way we can tell the user how many days they got left for that thing that they're waiting for. So let's go ahead and make that. Let's make a user input variable here. Let's use a prompt function, and we talked about that in the last tutorial. So if you haven't watched that, go back and do it and watch it. And then let's say enter a future date. Right, and I'm gonna show you something right now, right? And then this user input, instead of making this object here, doing this text manually, we're gonna take the user input, which is gonna be also a string, a text, and we're gonna put it right in this new date object. Let's refresh, click on it, and now it's gonna ask me enter a future date. I'm gonna enter January 20, 2020. Okay, and it's telling me 1839. All right, so that's how many days left from today. But I'm gonna make it a little bit nicer. You have whatever days, let's say 10 days. You have to wait 10 days for that thing that you want so bad, right? Let's see how this looks. Refresh, click, enter future date, January, let's see, 2020. Enter. You have to wait 1039. Oh, I always forget this. Days. Let's do it properly. Future date January 20, 2020. You have to wait 1839 days for that thing that you want so bad. All right, so you can use it anytime. All right, you can make this more fancier. I mean, you can do a lot of things with it. But now you see, now we can use this function, call it anytime we want. We can put another button here. We can even put another function inside this function and call that. I mean, we can do many different things with functions, and we're gonna be talking about how we can put pass values to functions in the next tutorials. All right, we're gonna use variables we can from the users to using functions and make calculations and things like that. So anyway, it's gonna be pretty fun. Anyways, if you like this tutorial and this tutorial was able to help you out learn anything, please favorite, please like it. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. Thank you for the support, and I'll see you in the next video. Boy, the website boy out.